What's up, everyone? We are here today to showcase this very nice and beautiful custom C10 build that we have going on here. I'm here with Mr. Peabody, as you can tell.
Hello there.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So let's just get right into it. The idea for me to get this truck started in August of 2016, when we were at a car show up in Reno, Nevada called Hot August Nights, and we were just walking around looking at the old cars, and I thought, you know how cool it would be to turn one of these into a custom
Pro touring.
Modern truck and have an old truck.
Drive it every day.
And just drive it every single day, have it like a modern truck, power windows. It's just all of engine.
Then it started.
So, yeah, then it started.
The search to find one.
About a week later, we decided to head down to San Bernardino from Reno. So it was about an 8-hour drive to pick this up. We drove down, picked it up, got up at like 3 in the morning, picked it up, drove it around for a little bit, paid for it, and then we drove back.
Long drive back. Very long drive.
Had a 3-speed in it at the time, so we were only going at like 65 miles an hour up to 395 up to Reno, so it was about a 12-hour drive back home.
Running out of gas all the time.
So we had to pull over to the side of the road to fill it up, and so it was about a 24-hour trip just to get this back home. So when we first got this truck, it had dual exhaust. It was super loud, and whenever you take it on the freeway, you would either have to wear earplugs, roll up the windows, or
then you get fumigated because it didn't have any tailpipes.
Or just try and have no ears if you didn't want to have any ears.
Super loud.
So it sounded really loud like cars did back in the day when they had no mufflers on them. So that's the very first thing that we changed.
So I used the mufflers from the dual exhaust. I made it into a single, so it was 2 mufflers for single exhaust, so it was quieter, and I ran it all the way out the back. So you didn't get the fumes inside of the truck anymore, so you can actually drive it down the freeway and roll the windows up without passing out. So then it didn't have a bed in it, so then we started the whole kind of bodywork-ish area, putting a bed in it. You can see what it looks like now. Done a couple years ago, so it's a little weathered, but not a bad start. At least the bed's not going to fall off the truck anymore.
Yeah, so when we first got this, the bed was basically bolted on right here on the wheel wells with just a couple pieces of wood. So whenever you turn, or you could just simply push this, the whole entire frame of the bed right here would shift side to side, and it was really sketchy. So that was one of the first things we changed after the exhaust.
Then we moved on to the engine because of the horrible gas mileage and drivability.
To the most complicated part of the whole truck.
Dove right in. So
why not?
So it came with a big block Chevy 396, and then now we changed it out to a little 6-liter like everybody else is doing. Got the truck 6-liter, the 4L60E 4-speed transmission. It's pretty much stock with a little cam, the Z06 valve spring, so it's under 550 lift. Poly high ram. So at West Tech, it dynoed to the tires, 370 horsepower and 370 foot-pounds of torque. So it moves up pretty alright.
And that wasn't before we had to change a lot of stuff to the engine already, because we had a lot of issues with the fuel pump when we first got this. How many fuel pumps did we go through?
Like 5.
Yeah, I think we went about 5 fuel pumps, just because some of them were being starved because of the fuel lines that were being ran right here on the intake.
Because we're running the stock truck intake with the stock rails, and it just didn't have enough flow on the return, so it kept burning up the pumps. So then we did all the Holley rails.
Another thing we had a lot of problems with was the radiators. So as you can see, we have the Gucci Ron Davis radiator on here. Has the dual fans here on the radiator. We have a little echo inside of the engine bay with me talking. We went through how many of the X brand radiators?
About 5 of them.
Yeah. So we had a lot of issues with it. Just, I don't know if it was the way it was bolted on here, but it kept leaking just out the bottom of the radiator. So I have a couple of videos of it just pouring fluid out of here. So we had to switch over to this Ron Davis, and there's been literally no issues at all. This thing's great. It never overheats. I could drive it when it's 110 degrees outside. It won't overheat at all.
No cares.
So when he so before we changed the engine to what I just showed you, when it still had that 396 in here, we did a little modification to the exhaust, but when we put this in here, we had to do a full revamp to what we were working with the exhaust. So Mr. Peabody over here, he made custom headers. You can't really see him too well, but he took piping and he just welded it all together with his TIG welder, and it runs really great. There's no issues now. And he opened up the diameter of the exhaust to 3.5 inches now, so it's not choking itself when you're trying to get on it.
All right, so when we first put the 6-liter in here, we tried to run a 700 R4 transmission to have a 4-speed, but it didn't work out because the TV cable, wrong geometry, and it didn't want to shift, and it was all retarded. So took it out, put the 4L60E transmission in with it, so the ECM can shift it itself. Works a lot better that way. I can program it, shift points and everything. So that's currently what's in here now. So then when we got the truck, it was lowered, but they lowered it poorly. Now it's got CPP upper control arms, Beltec drop spindles, CPP brakes, CPP springs, all stainless braided brake lines, CPP big rear disc brakes, truck 12 bolt with a Richmond gear 342, Eaton posi.
Just had the fire truck gleaming through here, but when we first got the truck, the suspension in the front wasn't the worst. I mean, it was decent.
It just kept eating components because it was lowered wrong.
So what we had to do later on, it started getting really bad whenever you would just simply try and drive. It would try and yank you to one side, it would try to yank you the other way. So that's when we changed it over to what we have now.
Well, yeah, it was a 6-lug steel wheels when we got it. Now we converted to a 5-lug 18-inch Americans with Nittos.
Yeah, and these wheels look way better than they did when we first got it. Maybe if I find an old picture, I'll throw it up on the screen right now. So then what he was saying about the 12 bolt in the rear, we just changed the gear ratio from...
Well, I had a 373 in it when we got it, which was a little low for this combination, even on the freeway still with the 4-speed. So we did a 342, which is a gear with this combination in the newer vehicles. So 342, we did Moser axles, we converted to a 5-lug. And then we did the CPP, the big rear disc brakes.
And it took some power out of it, changing the gear ratio, but it drives way smoother on the freeway now. You can actually drive it. And before there was a lot of popping and banging in the rear end that we didn't care for. You know, you would back up and it would make this popping like you were almost running over bubble wrap or something.
A lot of whining, head of gear, the gears, ring and pinion was set up wrong, rear end would whine.
Even though we have done a lot to this truck, there's definitely more to come in the future. One of the next things we're going to be doing, we're going to be ordering the rubbers for the whole entire door frame right here, because a lot of air leaks through. As you can see, there's like, I think it's mostly when you roll up the window. I think it's over here. So when you roll it up all the way, you can see there's all sorts of gap right here, and there's air that pushes through in the door right here. So we're gonna order the rubbers. There's a lot of water that leaks in through right here. It drips from the top and it lands down here. As you can see, all the surface rust that is accumulated. There used to be carpet, ugly carpet in here, and I think the last owner that had this, there was a lot of carpet obviously down on the ground, and the water would get stuck in the carpet and it made the surface rust start rusting. It's rusting on that side also. So that's the next thing we're changing. All the rubbers, we're going to change the windshield. There's also a crack in this windshield over here. I think it's the very original windshield that came with this truck. So that's the next thing we're going to change, just going into the future. And obviously we have a lot planned still.
There's a lot of stuff planned.
A lot of stuff. So stay tuned for that. We just want to show you my custom C10 truck that he's been working on a lot. He's been working really hard on it, and
about 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years of hard work. I hope you enjoyed the very first video I'm putting out on this channel here at ZHP Garage, showcasing the 68 Chevy C10 truck. There's definitely more to come, more builds that we have planned. So stay tuned, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.